Good morning, good morning, good morning. It really is morning from everybody except some of our friends in the Netherlands and South Africa and all of them, but pretty much we're just into afternoon if you're watching from the East Coast. Anyway, welcome to Off the Cuff. This is a topic that I have held my mouth for a bit now. I have watched people lambast someone I've been wanting to set the record straight for a long time and never really got the go ahead. Like it's so yeah, go ahead, do it. I there was always a check in my spirit until about a week ago. Dennis, my husband, for those of you that are new here, said to me, "Did you see this?" And it was from someone that I know has a very big platform, and they posted a couple of things from another big platform that claimed that Kim Clement was a false prophet. I'm going to dive into that. And when I tell you dive, I'm talking swan dive. I'm going to swan dive into it. Okay. I'm going to hit it from every angle you can possibly hit it. And then when someone you see post that, grab the link, slap it on a post, please. And let's get these lying demons to shut their mouth. But first, let me go over a couple things, please. This is our book. Honestly, I'm doing a final rewrite on it. We are looking for the woman that did our first book, Falling into Greatness. We're looking for her as we speak. Dennis is probably doing it now to do the layout of it because it was done so well. But this praying, it comes out in July. If we find her, we should have that to her next week. It shouldn't take that long. I just have to figure out how to get it up on Amazon and we'll go from there. But I'm doing the final rewrite on it. And I want to tell you something. This isn't for the squeamish, this book. This isn't for those that want to just stay in their comfort zone. It's not. So I'm saying that so you guys can write. This is what you can do. Go to thegatheringmovement.org. Okay, thegatheringmovement.org, and you'll see on top Unchained Sold sign up. Go there and give me your name and your email address, and you won't hear back from me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to forward it to our list. And when this comes out, you're going to get the first chapter at least. I might do the introduction in first chapter because the introduction says it all. And before it comes out, then what we're going to do is we're going to release it. I'm praying that all of you who want this book will buy it on the same day or the same within a couple days, because then they'll slap a bestseller stamp on it and then people will buy it. This isn't something we're looking to make money on. It really isn't. We just want to get it into the hands of as many people as we can. Okay, so again, go to thegatheringmovement.org on the top, Unchained book, sign up, go there, sign up. Also, we'll have a private after it's released and you guys buy it and hopefully you start reading it. We're going to have a private, for those that sign up, Zoom webinar, and we're going to answer your questions. We're going to talk about the book. Will not be recorded. This is private. And so please do that. Okay, cool. Now, The other thing is Friday night, we do around the table. It's similar to Fab Four, but it's a little more, spiritual. It's just us talking around the table and us sharing things, and so it's different people every night. It's always me and Den, but it's different people. So join us. That's this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Last but not least, a lot of you have been asking me how Jenna is. She is doing well. She's we're all in process. We're kind of all in the middle of stuff. I don't want to reveal too much because it's her business. It's not mine. So please continue praying for her. It is working. She's feeling the grace of God in her life. And so God has plans, Romans 8:28. God has a plan. And this obviously, he didn't author it, but he's going to use it. He's going to use it. Okay, so let's get into this. Was Kim Clement a real prophet? Dennis and I met Kim in 1993. He came to the church that we were part of the leadership. Mike Russell's asking me, will the Unchained Soul be on Kindle? It will. It will be, you could download it as well. Mike, thanks for that, honey. Mike Russell is Donna Russell, who's on the chat's brother. Mike was my right arm. Everything I did at the church I was at, that he was there. And I thank God for him, and they're very, very close friends still. I love them dearly and never forget what they did for me and for that church. Anyway, it was 1993. He came. He actually came because I saw him on TBN, and I was, I was always the kind of the right arm of the senior pastor, and so I was drawn to him immediately. So I said, I called him and I said, man, you got to watch this, prophet Kim Clement, because he is, he's incredible. And I think he's the real deal here. And so the rest is history. He got invited many, many times. I'll go into that in a minute. But I want to just tell you a little bit about the man, okay? Kim was a man. I don't know what else to say. He was a man. He wasn't God. He was a man. Don't put him on a platform with God. He was a man. He was a very gifted man. He was a very unique man, very quirky kind of guy. Probably had ADHD. I guess it takes one to know one. He had a comedic side that was hilarious. I mean, really, really hilarious. I can't even say some of this stuff, but very funny guy. When he came to our church, he wouldn't meet with, you guys got to listen to this, and it's very important. Those that have questioned, open your ears big, all right? Because you're going to get to know the man behind the prophet today. And then you're going to get to understand about the word of God and prophets, okay? All these people, he said this, never came to pass, came this, blah, 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 blah. Can I just give you one like bang zoom? Do a Jackie Gleason. The Honeymooners, for those of you that are my age. When he came to church, okay, he wouldn't meet any of the leadership except Dennis and I and one other pastor. We're the ones that, he says, to the moon. We're the ones that hosted him, and that happened kind of accidentally. Why? Why didn't he want to meet with any of the pastors? Why didn't he want to meet with any of the kids that really were interested in meeting with them or have dinner with them or, sit on the platform with them, all this stuff. Although they didn't do that really at this church. But he wanted no one to accuse him of getting to know people and then using that as a word from God. A lot of character in that. He didn't want to seem like he acted like a prophet with words of knowledge after he'd gotten to know everybody. He actually stayed in a hotel about almost an hour from the church. Didn't even stay near. It was closer to New York City, and this was in the center of Long Island. He ate alone. He ate with his team, not with ministry people. And many were insulted by this. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, wow, that is so honorable. So how did I meet Kim? It was interesting. I was, look, people that were with me will tell you, I had my hand in every ministry, Dennis as well. And we were kind of the impetus in the leadership to do things. And it's just who we were. And I still am like that. And so I was in the middle of doing kind of a church newsletter. I'm a writer. So I gave that idea like months before to our senior pastor at a pastor's meeting. And he loved the idea. And he said, yeah, let's do one. And Kim was coming. So it was like, let's do the first one. And Kim will be on the cover and we'll talk about him and blah, blah, blah. So I met Kim. A car was arranged to pick him up and then come and get me. And we just drove around all over New York and Long Island and talked, for hours. And I was writing an article, like I said, and so I had to get to know him, and I was kind of like an interview. And Kim and I clicked immediately. We had similar backgrounds. I was trained in classical piano. I had a family that depended on psychics. We both had a very dramatic, and his family did as well. He was like, everything was about psychics. He had a dramatic conversion. I had a dramatic conversion, and he just loved my Italian. He called me the Italian. So from that point on, he would come to the church, and it was often. Dennis and I would host him, whatever he needed, whatever he wanted. And he was just a very to himself. He wasn't someone that would, come into a big meeting with all the pastors. A lot of pastors on staff, like 10, 11 pastors. And so he wasn't that. He wouldn't, as we say in Italian, make cuticenza. He didn't come and get to know everyone. And he was an interesting, unusual man. He kind of didn't have his feet firmly planted on this earth, if you know what I mean. He was like always up in the heavenlies somewhere. When we had lunch or we would make some food, bring it to his house, whatever. He was definitely, he'd sit and talk and everything. And so did Jane. Jane was very prophetic, his wife. I'm sure she still is. When he didn't have an answer for us and we would ask something of him, and he would say, well, Jane's got an answer for you. Jane kind of said it, just straight on. Kim was a little more, I think, concerned, except a couple of words he gave in the church were really hard with some people that he had words for, but I digress. Let me just keep going. So what we saw during those years from 1993 until around 2006, 2005, he would come to the church a lot. And then something happened. I'm not going to go into what happened, but then he only came one other time. We left in 2006. God told us to go to LA. I'll get into more of that in a minute. But I just want to speak to you a little bit about what we saw you know, in how many people we saw him give words to over 10, 12 years. I mean, spot on, hundreds upon hundreds. No one ever saw anything like it, ever. I mean, calling out people who have this sibling, and that sibling has a child in the prison in upstate New York who just bought a car from people who they said the sinner's prayer with them. And we want you to know the court is going to let your son out of prison the next time he gets in front of them, and where they were born. And I'm talking not a few people. I'm not saying there's 2,000 people sitting there and he's calling out one or two. I'm talking 100 at a time. This one, who's that? The man in the yellow shirt, stand up. Your name is Alexander. You have a wife named Mildred, and your child, you're worried about your children. Come back here, I want to pray for you. The man over there, you got a big B over your head, brother. You got a business, it's doing well. You're going to be a billionaire. I'm saying, when I tell you, spot on. So when I see these pop-up prophets and they're reading something that sounds like they took it out of the Word of God, or I laugh. It's a joke. You're a joke. You're a joke. Okay? You people, you're a joke. Don't play prophet, prophetess. Oh, and let me tell you, there's a lot of people that think they can be Kim and take his place. Hey, newsflash, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. I'm not saying Kim's the only prophet. There are other prophets, but I'll tell you, there's only one Kim. Okay? I want to see another one do what this man did. I want to see it. When I see it with my own eyes, I'll put you on my show and we'll talk about you and everything that in the gift that God gave you. But don't go reading me things that you get in the middle of the night. I mean, it's just a joke, okay? Or you give dates and they never come to pass, or you lay hands on people and they fall out and that's God. I mean, it's a joke, okay? It's a joke. I get it. I'm sorry. Yes, my Italian gets up. I'm so sick of people calling themselves prophets. When you sat where I sat next to Kim, you don't call people prophets easily. The thing is, look at this. Donna Russell. He called Michael out by name and then told him he had a twin. I guess he expected a twin brother. And when he asked his twin to stand up, I stood up. Yeah, I remember that, Donna. You were sitting behind the soundboard. Listen, you understand. People have testimony after testimony after testimony. When God moved us out of that church after 20 years, we moved to Los Angeles in 2006. Okay? That wasn't easy to leave. We were there over 20 years. Our life was there. God spoke to Dennis. Dennis flew to California to pray for a woman. He was over all the care ministries. It was like 200 care groups. It was a big church. And Dennis was the pastor over all of them. And one of them had cancer and was dying, and she was in Los Angeles. And he flew to Los Angeles to pray for her, lay hands on her. And when he got there, he heard the voice of God and literally kind of collapsed. I wasn't with him. And he started weeping because he heard God say, welcome home. We knew at that point we were going to go. But what was interesting is when we moved out there in 2006, we were there but a couple days, and we landed in Studio City in San Fernando Valley, and the Sportsman's Club, which is not there anymore in Studio City, we saw a sign, and it said, Prophet Kim Clement will be here, and it was that night. So we were like, Kim, what's he doing here? He was living in Dallas. So it was a big crowd, and within minutes, Kim pointed to us. And of course, as he always were, he pointed to our youngest daughter and gave her a word. She got to be known as the word hog because Kim always had a word for her. And it was powerful words. So he saw us, pointed to us. We reconnected. And he discovered we moved to LA, and we moved the exact same week he did. He was in Dallas. God moved him out of there, told him to go to Hollywood, the exact words given to Dennis. So soon Kim opened a place, probably within, I don't know how long, a year, 6 months, 2 years, I don't know. But anyway, it was in Camarillo. Okay. And he took us out to lunch, and he told us about it. And he spoke to me about opening his den meetings. That's what he was doing then. They were called the Den. It was on Saturdays. And Kim was actually the first online church. It was unheard of at that time. And people were like, churches don't go online. I guess the apple don't fall far from the tree with me and Dennis. People thought he was crazy and no one would watch. Well, yeah, I guess they got it wrong, because on some Saturdays, nearly 500,000 people around the world were watching. It was huge. It was a huge telecast. He asked me to open those meetings, in essence, before he came out, kind of like warm up the crowd, pray with people, explain what prophecy was, and then move into the position in the front row of floor director, which, it was a broadcast. So obviously he didn't want people clapping when, while he's prophesying. There was because it could stop what was moving in there. So it was kind of like people were to watch me, when to applaud, when to clap, when to stand up, when to be quiet, and so I had to be very keyed into what was happening and what Kim was doing, because, like I said, at the wrong time, it could disturb the Spirit of God that was moving. And after nearly every service, not all of them, if he had special guests, we wouldn't go back. But after a lot of the services, we would go back to his office and have, Jane was usually there. Sometimes she wasn't, depending on her mom, Gloria, who I love dearly. You want to talk about a spitfire. Jane, the apple didn't fall far from the tree with Gloria. But, I would go back there, and I was like a prophetic pest, the prophet's pest, I guess what you could call me. Kim, why did you say that? What do you think? And who's the Donald? And what happened? And so, and so one day when we were alone, the door was shut to his office, and it was me, Dennis, and Kim. And I asked him, I said, Kim, I know a lot of people don't ask you this, but, I know you let me ask you these things. You kind of tolerate me. And it was true. Kim tolerated me. And I asked him, how do you get a lot of these words? And sometimes he would really hear from God. Sometimes he would, see it in a vision. Sometimes in prayer, he just get a strong impression. But most of the time, what would happen is and this is how he told me. He said, Delora, what happens is I find myself in a dark room. It's a completely pitch black. And I'm standing there or sitting there, and I can't even see my hand in front of my face. And then all of a sudden the light goes on. And when the light goes on, there's things around me. And I'm looking and I see this, I see that, and I'm trying to get it all, and I'm trying to take it all. And I look at a table, there's something on the table, and there's something in the distance, and there's this and there's that. And he said, and I can't take it all in, and it's only like 30, 40, maybe 45 seconds, sometimes 20 seconds, sometimes 45. He said, and it goes to black again, and I find myself back where I was. And I write it all down, and I'm trying to remember, And he said, and then in people say, well, I don't understand that prophecy, or that prophecy didn't happen exactly the way I thought it would happen. And people start saying things about him, and he's this and he's that. And he said, let me try to explain something to you. It would be like if you went into a room, Delora, and you saw that on a table, and it's the year 1900, and you're looking at that and you're trying to figure out what it is. You have no idea what it is. It didn't come into your timeline yet. It's something from the future that was shown. So you try to describe it, and you say it's a little rectangle thing. It's got little squares all over it. And it just looks like a little box. It's got color. How do you describe that if you have no idea what that is? That's why when he said we talked about the big E, which still hasn't come to pass. All he saw was a big E, like in the distance, it's huge E. He said, okay, and then the big E. He doesn't know what it is. He didn't know what it was. He was seeing the future from his point in the present. Now, look, I'm not asking you to believe Kim Clement's a prophet because I knew him. I'm asking you to be careful about condemning someone you've only heard about, or you've only read about, or you've only seen someone online talk about him. How dare you? How dare you do that? You don't know me. If you've not been in this community and you've not seen what I've gone through over the past 5 years, if you've not gotten to know me at gatherings, you've not gotten to know my heart, you don't know me as a person, you've never been out to dinner with me, you've never sat in my home, you're going to condemn me? How do you do that? And if Kim Clement was a false prophet, I would be the first one that would tell you that. Let me just say this. Over the last few years, I've watched video after video after video calling out Kim Clement as a false prophet. I'm sure now I'm going to end up on one of those videos. Even though I never called myself a prophet, but what? Does this make me a prophet now? No one even knows what a prophet is. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They call it everything. You want to name and lambast everything, everybody, anything. Instead of bringing unity, they want to divide and take hope from people. Oh, God. Some of these people have hundreds of thousands of views. Some of them are made by people that you don't even know. You can't even find them. Some don't even put pictures up. They're just on X and they got a picture of a dog. Oh, let's believe him. Let's believe him. Let's not believe the woman that worked with him and sat and broke bread with him. Let's not believe her. Let's not believe the woman that is right now in the ministry of he prophesied to us in 2015. Let's not believe her. Let's believe the one that's got a picture of a tree. Okay? Because it fills what your belief system. Shame on you. How about you never traveled with him, you never sat with him, you never watched him minister? Dennis and I did. My family did for almost 10 years. Actually, when he passed, 23 years. We were his friend for 23 years. So today isn't about worshiping a man. So don't say it. Okay. Don't say it. I didn't say to worship a man. I'm not in a Kim Clement cult. If it sounds like that so far, forgive me. It's not what I'm doing. It isn't about saying prophets can't make mistakes. It isn't about building a ministry around Kim Clement. He's already got that. He's got his wife, his daughter. I don't need to build a ministry around Kim Clement. Most of the time, you never even hear me talk about him. I don't use him to prop myself up. I don't. And will never. I'll mention him when it's appropriate. It's about asking one question. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. How does the Bible evaluate a prophet? Because I think we've become far too quick to judge people and far too slow to open our Bibles. Now, I'm not judging pop-up prophets. I'm a watchman on a wall that's telling you better discern the spirit, or you're going to be led astray and be blown away by every wind of doctrine that comes by you. That's what I'm saying. So there are really two lanes in the spirit world happening right now. The church has become suspicious of the prophetic. Why? I've just been talking about it. Do I really have to answer that? The other lane is those who believe anyone who sounds like they are an authority and they put themselves on YouTube or Rumble, they're a prophet. Look, there have been frauds. There are tons of frauds out there right now. Tons. They usually have the biggest platforms. Because why? Because they scratch your itchy ears. Most of them are frauds. They manipulate, money grabbers, grifters, predictions that have failed over and over and over and over again. Political prophecies failed over and over again. People got hurt over and over again, and people still give them money and they do nothing. They do nothing. What do they do with the money? Buy a new car, buy a new house? Why are you doing that? Why? Ask them. What are you doing with the money? Ask them. Look, they grieve you, they grieve me. They exist, they're real. So some, all right, let's go here. Let's separate truth from false, okay? But I got to say this. Counterfeit money doesn't mean real money doesn't exist. There are counterfeit Rolex watches. Doesn't mean the real thing doesn't exist. There are counterfeit pocketbooks, Louis Vuitton, Coach. Doesn't mean the real doesn't exist. There is counterfeit healers. It doesn't mean real healing doesn't exist. There's counterfeit prophecy. It doesn't eliminate the real prophetic. The existence of counterfeits usually proves there's something valuable and worthwhile. And let me say it again. They're making a ton of money. Your money. They ask you for donations. Well, what are they doing with it? Do they tell you what they do with it? In thousands. No, tens of thousands, believe them. It's shocking how naive and needy people truly are. But let's remember, prophecy is part of who we are as believers. So 1 Thessalonians 5:19-21. Do not quench the spirit. Sorry, guys. Do not quench the spirit. Do not despise prophecies. But please test everything. Hold fast to what is good. Notice Paul didn't say, believe everything. He also didn't say, reject everything. He said, test. That requires maturity. These prophets or predictors or whatever you want to call them play into the hands of those, in the hearts of those that are still on the milk of the word, if at all. See, the culture, most people got to know Kim in 2016/2017. I was shocked when I was invited on a show by Prime Minister in April of 2021. That was the first show I ever did. That most of the people who were on, he had a big platform at that time, were speaking, had no idea who Kim Clement was. They just heard of him because of saying Trump would be a trumpet and because of the two presidents thing. So what makes a person a false prophet? Many Christians quote Deuteronomy 18. So let's read it, okay? But the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. Did they not read this? And if thou say in thine heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord hath spoken? This is what you really have to pay attention to. When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, this is the thing which the Lord had spoken, but the prophet has spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. The Old Testament prophet under the Mosaic covenant held a unique covenantal office in Israel. The New Testament discusses prophecy within the church differently. For example, it talks about encouragement, discernment, testing in passages like 1 Corinthians 14 and 1 Thessalonians 5. So avoid combining those contexts into one simple rule. Also, does prophecy have to happen immediately? You got to remember, God's timing is not our timing, and this is huge. Isaiah prophesied Christ centuries past. He died. Did that make Isaiah a false prophet? No. Jeremiah prophesied restoration. He didn't see anything in his lifetime fulfilled, or the people that existed in his lifetime. Daniel received visions. Some were explicitly sealed for the time of the end. He didn't see them fulfilled, nor did the people in their lifetime. Daniel 12:4, seal up the words until the time of the end. Daniel himself didn't even witness it. Daniel 12:13, you shall rest and shall stand in your allotted place at the end of days. God essentially tells Daniel, you're not going to see it all, bro. Then Peter, first 1:10-12. This passage is incredible. Peter says the prophets searched carefully concerning the salvation they prophesied. It was revealed to them that they were serving not themselves, but you. Think about that. Some prophets spoke things they would never personally experience. Then Hebrews 11:13. I'm doing this fast because I'm trying to make a point. You can go back later and read the scriptures. Hebrews 11:13. These all died in faith, not having received the promises. That doesn't make them false. It makes them faithful. Maybe we've confused unfulfilled with false. They're not always the same. So what did Dennis and I actually witness? As I explained in my opening, I was there. This isn't trying to get clicks. It's not theory. It's not memory, just memory. It's a testimony of what I saw, the memories I still hold, tens of thousands of personal prophecies, specific names, detailed, hidden things, lives change, accuracy. And it was done with humility, a humility. That's the Kim I knew. Everyone who worked with Kim will say this to you. I never saw Kim trying to build Kim. I watched him point everybody to Jesus. That says a lot. How many pop-up prophets you know that do that? That say, hey, don't give to me. Give to this ministry that feeds the poor, okay? That said, we must never forget prophets are human. So I'm going to give you a few. What about King Hezekiah? Did he give a false prophecy? Did Prophet Isaiah give that to him and it was false? He told him he was going to die. Wait, Isaiah, Jesus, Isaiah, Hezekiah. Isaiah's a false prophet. Okay, I'm going to rename this. I'm going to rename it. The prophet Isaiah was a false prophet. But here's where you miss it. That was an unchangeable decree of the future. No. It was actually a warning that could be altered, proving that Hezekiah's prayer actually worked. So, was this a conditional prophecy? Prophecies of judgment or death were many times conditional. In this case, the message was intended, hear me, to create a desire in the king to seek God. Were some of Kim's prophecies that people are saying are false, was that to create a desire to seek God further? When Hezekiah heard the prophecy of his death, he didn't just accept it. He wept and prayed to God, appealing to him in his faithfulness to Hezekiah. Because Hezekiah's humility, God changed his plan, granted him an additional 15 years. Really, does that make Isaiah a false prophet, even though he got everything else right? What about Nathan? David said, I want to build God a house. Nathan immediately says, go for it. God is with you. But then 2 Samuel 7:3, that night God speaks, no. Nathan had spoken from his own heart, not from revelation, not from hearing God. The next day, Nathan had to go back and correct himself. Did that make Nathan a false prophet? No. You know what it made him? Human. It made him human. Kim wasn't an angel. Kim was a man. He was a man who was an atheist. And then, like Paul, had a dramatic conversion. Human. Philip's daughters, Acts 21. Philip had 4 daughters who prophesied. That's what it says. Interesting, huh? Luke doesn't record a single prophecy. Why? Because being a prophet doesn't mean everything someone says is prophecy. It simply means they are a prophet and have a prophetic ministry, but they're also human. Let's go to the New Testament. Here's the verse almost nobody talks about. 1 Corinthians 14:29. Let 2 or 3 prophets speak, and let the others weigh carefully what is said. Oh, wait, what did I say? What was that? What was that? Don't give me, this is what I'm going to get. These are the emails I'm going to get. Oh, touch not God's anointed. He's going to strike you down. Okay, 1 Corinthians 14:29. Let me say it again. Let 2 or 3 prophets speak, and let the others who believe themselves in the prophetic ministry, that were ordained, that were called out, let them weigh carefully what is said. So don't get mad at people who call out these people if they are in right alignment with God. Don't get mad at them. If they're not trying to break the unity, but just trying to show people that you are giving money and you are following a false prophet, why weigh it? You just got to receive it. Why consider it? If prophets are incapable of ever mixing human perspective with revelation, why is Paul even writing that? What real prophets they're talking about? Then why test it? If everything they say, everything Kim said, everything, why even say that? The New Testament assumes discernment. I've always assumed people discern correctly. No more. 1 Thessalonians 5, this is what Paul says. Don't despise prophecies, but test everything. I already said it. Hold fast what is good. Not everything is rejected. Not everything is accepted. Everything is tested. There's a major danger right now. You know what I call it? YouTube theology. It's the YouTube Bible. You didn't know that? Different than the Word of God. It's YouTube theology. Today, you know what people do? They watch 10-minute clips. They become experts. Never met the person. Never listened to years of teaching. Never knew them personally. Never looked at context. Never asked questions. Just click, judge, upload, monetize. Click, judge, upload, monetize. Matthew 7, 1-5. Judge with right judgment. Remove the log. Exercise humility. What about Exodus 20:16? Bearing false witness. You shall not bear false witness. Falsely accusing innocent people? There are people that are literally dividing the body, not about this, about making sure they're right and everybody knows they're right. Pat myself on the back because I'm right. Always right. My God. I feel like half the time I'm wrong. But I'm a human being. And I relate to you. I'm not up here sitting on the platform with my collar. Boy, do you have to get my book. Okay, so I'm going to close with this. I'm not asking anyone. Don't go saying it. I'll call you out, bro. Don't go saying it. I'm not asking anyone to build their faith on Kim Clement. It's not what I'm saying. Build your faith on Jesus Christ always. But what I'm doing is I'm asking us to have more discernment. I'm asking us to be more careful, more biblical, more humble, more willing that maybe we just don't know everything. Maybe, just maybe, you got it wrong. Just maybe. Dennis and I watched a man for years. We knew him as a friend. We knew him as a mentor. We knew him as a prophet. We knew him as a co-minister. We knew him as a co-laborer. We knew him as a husband. We knew him as a father. He was not a perfect man. But I'll tell you, he never wanted worship for himself. Ever. He even admitted when he was wrong. He would say, I don't know. He would say to me, I don't know. Maybe, it's different. It's the phone. Remember the phone on the 1900 table? It's that. Sometimes he would see something, and when his man would interpret what it isn't. That happens. He doesn't know. It's in a different culture. But this is a man who spoke words over thousands of people that only God could have known. Could he have missed the timing of some things? Maybe. Could any human? Absolutely. But before we casually label someone a false prophet because something hasn't happened on our timetable. Now listen, I'm not talking about the pop-up prophets. They gave dates. Years Trump would be back. They gave things that this was dying. Not what was. No, I'm not. This is not what Kim did. Maybe we should remember that Scripture is full of promises that took generations to unfold. God's never been in a hurry. His calendar doesn't match our calendar. Hey, newsflash. He's not subject to our calendar. Another newsflash. He doesn't even live in time. He doesn't live in time. He lives above time. Here's time. It's linear. That's where we live. It's earthly realms. He's up here in the spirit. In his time, he can look to Adam and Eve and look to the second coming of Christ, all in the same breath. Please remember that. Please be careful before you take someone like Clement and label him a false prophet. Wow. And lead people over a cliff. Look, I've seen many people try to take Kim's place that exist right now. That will never happen. Just so you know. I don't see, if I saw someone out there that I'm like, wow, wait a minute, I'll be the first, I'll prop them up, I'll have them on the show. It doesn't exist at the moment. I'm not asking anyone to build your faith on Kim, as I said. Kim was one of a kind. And one of the greatest blessings in my life is that we were able to call him friend. We were able to call him or email him and ask him for his advice. Be there with him. Yeah, he did some things. He'd throw me out on his stage and I wanted to be behind the scenes. I mean, yeah, my man got aggravated. But the more people try to be like him as people wake up, and they are waking up, and I'm hoping I am part of that, you will at some point see, and I'm telling you this, I really believe this, you're going to see some of these people go into hiding. Suddenly they're not going to be online anymore because they misled so many people, misled their hearts, misled them to get their finances, to get their clicks, to get their views. Deuteronomy 29:29. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us. Kim did a book called Secrets. Great book. I don't know if it's still out there on Amazon or whatever, but really good book. He talks about how there are secrets in the kingdom. That's why he wasn't online every day giving words that he knew would never come to pass, but they have to do it because people sit and wait. What happened to the word of God, folks? What happened to getting up and praying? What happened? See, the sad thing is those people, what happens is they invite the little ones that those of us that are more mature should be looking after. They don't know any better. It's a reminder to me that humility is part of faith. Look, we're not going to understand everything in this life. All things will be revealed when we move on to the next. But we should be really careful not to speak with certainty about something where Scripture calls us to humility. The Bible never teaches, I gave you many examples, that prophets stop being human. It teaches us that God sometimes speaks through humans who are imperfect. And that's it, guys. I'm going to take a few questions because I know people have already written to me and asked me if I will take questions on this. So just put 3 question marks first so I see it, and then ask the question. If I can't say, I'll say I can't say. Ruth Finch, thank you for this message today, Delora. Too many of us think too highly of people that are in positions, whether they put themselves there or whether God has. We elevate them higher than we should. We actually should. It's very careful. It's very hard if you read in Samuel about how David was to be king, but they kept calling for Saul because David was spiritual and Saul was something man wanted. That has not changed even today, Ruth. But that's why we'll never put people on the platform. We'll never. That's why we never. When in the gatherings, we come down to floor level. We don't stay on a platform. There's a toilet in our house, same as there's a toilet in your house. Just remember that. Okay, let's see what we got. Mom Taz, what do you think about Donna giving Amanda Grace one of his mantas? I think is what it's called. I don't think about it. I don't. That was a personal thing she felt to do. So I don't. That doesn't. That isn't unscriptural. It's not. It's just a personal thing. So I don't comment on what, unless it involves community, it involves people, it involves deception, then I'll comment on it. But other than that, I don't, Mom Tess. I hope that's okay. Ruth Finch, yes, amen. Thank you, Dolores. Need to seek the Lord, not a fly-by-night prophet, Debbie Folk. That's absolutely correct. Question, is Kim's book, Secrets of the Prophet, Unveiling Your Future, that is on Amazon. Shoot, I wish I had it here. I think that's it. You're welcome, Mom Taz. Prayer Warrior Lady on YouTube. Dolores, did Kim ever see any of his prophecies come to pass? Thank you, God. Bless you, sweet lady. Oh, thank you. Bless you too, my friend. Yeah, he did. He saw a lot of his prophecies come to pass. What had happened, so Prayer Warrior Lady and everyone else, is that Kim had actually two separate ministries. He had the ministry where it was all ministering to people. And that's where he would call people out all the time, constantly calling people out. Who's this? Who's that? And who's got a sister in prison? Just spot on. And he would call people out. And then when he got up there, he would say, what are you praying for? What are you praying for? And he would pray with them or whatever. And he would have on the platform, like if it was a pretty big platform, he'd have like 100 people up there, people on the steps. He called out. He didn't even know what he was doing. He was just getting words. God was just, things were flying at him. I went through one gathering like that. So you guys know, I can't remember which one it is. Maybe someone that was in our team. I actually had that happen to me in a gathering. And I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I don't say I'm anything. I know what I'm ordained, and that's it. Ordained a pastor. That's what I'm ordained. I don't know what else I am. I don't care what I am. I don't need it. But it happened to me. If anybody in the team is on here and they remember that, I was calling out names and things and everybody, and people were like, she's there, that's her, and these weird names and all this kind of stuff. I turned around and looked at Charlie Jordan, because Charlie worked with Kim as well, longer than I did. And I'm like, what is going on? It was just happening to me. I don't know how Kim dealt with that all the time. That's the point I'm trying to make. I don't know if it was, you gave names and details about strangers that you didn't know beforehand. I don't know. I think it was New Orleans or New Jersey, Pennsylvania. It was one of those. But I said to Dennis when I was done, I left. I don't know how Kim did this. I couldn't handle it. It was like I couldn't, trying to get things out. And where's this one? And what's that? And it was. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And he had these names, and he had hundreds of people on the platform at a time. And that was the beginning of his ministry. That was the first phase of his ministry. Then what happened in 2007 became the next phase of his ministry. Kim rarely gave words to people anymore. Once in a while, he gave us a word in 2015. It was rare. It was rare. Or he gave our daughter words, a lot. But there was other people he would give one, maybe one every now and then. But the words he would give were words like Trump will be a trumpet, elected 2 terms, 2 presidents. He was referring to 2020. He would, all of these things, God, he would give, and I can't say who, but I'm talking about A-list stars. Okay. And I'm going to tell you one story and then I'm going to end. I might have Charlie on next week so we can share more of this stuff. But there was a A-list star, mega. And God told Kim to go to the hotel where this star was staying at. And he said, okay. And he gave him the date to go and the time when that star would be in that hotel. And, so their person called ahead of time and said, look, there's this person I believe knows of Kim and, he's going to come. He's a prophet. And could you find out if it's okay if we get her room number and everything? And it was, yep. And so what happened was Kim, and I heard this from Kim. Kim had the date. He woke up that morning. He usually, for people that are, he did this for us once, but he has like a binder, like a beautiful leather binder. Okay. And what he does, and he had a wild handwriting, like really you're going to say, what's a prophet's handwriting? It would be Kim's. And so what happened was, he ended up waking up that morning and he had his book with him and he was going to write out to this person and it never happened. And then he said, okay, and he got nothing. And Debbie Folk, you called my name out in a gathering in Pennsylvania. I was already on the floor. My sister told you it was me. I wish I had been upright. Yeah. And that's it, Debbie Folk. What do I know? But I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just telling you, this is how Kim got it. Got words of knowledge constantly. So what happened? Let me go back to my story. He goes up to, he gets in the car. Still, God didn't say anything to him. He's got his thing with him. He's ready to write out a word and there's nothing. Then he goes up and he goes into the hotel and they find his room, still nothing. And then he gets in the elevator and he said, by the time I got in the elevator, I'm begging God, like, Lord, what are you doing to me? You got to give me a word. You said, go there. You're going to give me the word. I'm ready to write it out to give to this person and nothing. Gets to the floor. Elevator doors open, nothing. He said he went up to the hotel room, knocked on the door, opened the door. The person was there. Out came the word. Out came the word. Never got to write it out, but that person got that word. And I don't know what it was. He didn't share it, but he did this a lot with people who were very well known. Very well known. All right, that's it. Anyway, I hope you understand. I hope people watch this or post it for people to watch. I just want people to, I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I just want them to stop. I just want them to stop. Okay? That's all. I'm done with it. I don't want to, I'm not going to defend him. And I'm not, but I had to set the record straight once and for all. A lot of this stuff is in this book, not about Kim, just about things that have happened, good, bad, and indifferent. Unchained Soul. I'm not going to go into that much more than if you want to be part of the private webinar, you want me to send a chapter to you when it's released. It's not released yet. Go to thegatheringmovement.org and go to Unchained Book and click on that and give me your name and email address. You're not going to hear anything back from me. You'll just be part of a release. Okay, so you'll know when it's released. You'll get a chapter free, and you'll also be invited to a private webinar. The other thing is, and I didn't say it at the beginning, but we no longer have Joy in Country. I know you've been asking me, where is it? Why is it? And I don't know when or if it will be back. I that was part of our fundraiser, and we don't do this a lot. We just thank you, West Virginia Mountain Mama. And so if you are concerned about your health or you haven't found out about this yet, please go to takingbackourhealth.com. It's now our fundraiser, and give us your name and email. I'll send you a video from us, and I'll send you a video from a ton of doctors. This is one way you can help us out. Obviously, you can donate at thegatheringmovement.org. But if you want to do something like this helps us a lot. Takingbackourhealth.com. It's an amazing thing. It's changed our life, really. So anyway, okay, that's it. I love you guys. Debbie Folk, we love your caring heart. Delora, never stop. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. It means a lot. You know why it means a lot? I'm going to tell you why. You know me. What's on my sleeve, you guys know. The reason it means a lot is because when I get off of here, I question myself. Was hoping to see Debrat today, Island Girl said. I question myself, like, was I too hard? Did people going to, get hurt? I'm always questioning myself. So when someone says something like that, Debbie, I truly appreciate it. So Ruth, thank you for that. Thank you. S-Roll, S-C-H-A-U. I don't know how to say it. Mom Taz, you're very welcome. Friday, I'll see you on Around the Table. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a light one. It's kind of like a lot of people are surviving right now. So let's all learn how to live. Okay. So I'll give you a little hint there. It's going to be good. We're going to have some great people on. Mom Taz, thank you for being real. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's important. Love you all. Keep my Jenna in your prayers always. They're working. And we'll see you Friday. Until then, go in the power of God. Love you dearly. Ciao.